Have you ever stopped and wondered whether your job will still exist in 10 years? Not your company, not your manager, your actual job. Will there still be SharePoint information architects, intranet managers, knowledge managers, or will AI simply take over? I've been thinking about this a lot, not because AI is coming to replace all of us overnight, but because after more than 20 years in SharePoint and information management, I believe we're standing at one of the biggest turning points our profession has ever seen, and most people haven't realized it yet. Here's my take. The real question isn't whether AI will replace your job, it's how your job is about to change. Whether you're an accountant, a lawyer, a teacher, an HR advisor, or someone like me who's spent decades in SharePoint, every knowledge-based profession is being rewritten. Some jobs will disappear, new ones will emerge, but almost every professional role is going to need one new skill: knowing how to work alongside AI. And strangely, this episode ends up being about information architecture, because after 20 years trying to convince organizations that governance, metadata, and content ownership matter, AI has suddenly made everybody pay attention. Possibly the biggest plot twist of my career. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Simply SharePoint podcast. I'm Liza. A few weeks ago, I was at a digital workplace conference and something stood out. Nobody was talking about SharePoint or Teams or even Copilot features. Every hallway conversation came back to AI. But the questions people were asking weren't really AI questions. They were, can AI trust our information? How does it know which document is current? Who owns this content? Are our permissions right? I sat there smiling because these are the exact conversations information architects have had for 20 years. Only now people are finally listening. So today, will information architects still exist in 10 years? What new careers are emerging? And why is this one of the biggest opportunities our profession has ever seen? Every knowledge job is about to change. Will some jobs disappear because of AI? Absolutely. History tells us they will. Think bank tellers, travel agents, video stores, switchboard operators. But here's the part people miss. Technology rarely replaces a whole job. It replaces parts of it. Take accountants. 20 years ago, they spent hours manually reconciling transactions. Today, that's automated. But accountants didn't disappear. Their work evolved into analysis and advice. I think AI does exactly the same thing, just much faster across far more roles at once. So I don't think we're entering the age of artificial intelligence. I think we're entering the age of AI-assisted professionals. Think about your own day. How much of it is spent searching for information, summarizing meetings, writing reports, answering the same questions over and over? Now imagine AI helping with that, not replacing your expertise, amplifying it. I don't use AI to replace my thinking. I use it to accelerate it, to brainstorm, draft, organize, and challenge my own ideas. But I'm still the expert making the decisions. Here's something worth hearing clearly. Learning AI isn't just learning another piece of software. It's becoming a baseline career skill. Remember when Excel was a specialist skill? Now nobody puts "can use Excel" on their resume. Same happened with email. Nobody lists "can send emails" anymore. It's assumed. AI is heading exactly the same way. In 5 or 10 years, employers won't ask, "can you use AI?" They'll simply expect it. So, don't wait for a training course or permission to experiment. Open Copilot. Try ChatGPT. Try Claude, whatever your organization allows, and just start learning what works. Here's where it gets interesting for our profession specifically. If organizations are going to rely on AI to answer questions, where does AI get those answers from? How does it know what's accurate? What's current? Who should see it? Those aren't AI questions, they're information questions. So, why do organizations suddenly care about information? For over 20 years, people in SharePoint records and knowledge management have been saying metadata matters, content ownership matters, governance matters. Honestly, it often felt like we were talking to ourselves. Organizations agreed in principle but rarely treated it as a priority. Documents piled up, sites got built, and forgotten within 6 months. Think about your own organization. How many documents are named final? Final version 2, final. Use this one. We've all seen them. We've all laughed about it. Harmless until AI arrives. Imagine asking Copilot, what's our current procurement policy when there are 6 versions floating around? One from 2018, one marked draft, one superseded, one actually current. Which one does AI use? That's not an AI problem. That's an information management problem. This is the myth I want to bust. AI doesn't clean up messy information. It exposes it. If you've got duplicate documents, AI sees duplicates. If nobody owns a policy, AI doesn't know who owns it. If permissions are inconsistent, AI just reflects that mess, confidently and in front of your staff and customers. Which is why I think information is no longer just something organizations store. It's becoming the fuel that powers AI. Imagine 2 organizations with the exact same Microsoft 365 Copilot license. One has clean, well-owned, well-governed content. The other has years of duplication and no clear ownership. Same AI, completely different results. The organizations that win won't be the ones that have the biggest technology budget. They'll be the ones that invested in their information. And that's exciting for anyone who spent their career in SharePoint, governance, or knowledge management, because the skills you've been building for years just became business critical. Not because they changed, because the world around them did. Now, why I think SharePoint isn't dying. It's going to become invisible. People keep telling me AI is going to replace SharePoint. I don't buy it. I think it's becoming more important than ever. People just don't realize they're using it. Think about electricity. Nobody walks in the kitchen and says, I'm going to use electricity to make a coffee. You just say, I'm making a coffee. Electricity became invisible, still essential, just not something you think about. Same with the internet. 25 years ago, people talked about going online. Nobody says that now. They just order food or watch Netflix. Cloud computing followed the same path. Remember companies proudly announcing they were moving to the cloud. Nobody cares anymore. They just expect their files to sync. SharePoint is heading exactly the same way. Imagine it's 2035 and a new employee joins your organization. They're not going to learn intranet navigation. They'll open an AI assistant and ask, how do I apply for leave? They won't care where the information is stored, and honestly, they shouldn't have to. Nobody thinks about which Google server answered their search. They just expect an answer. But, and this is the important part, just because people stop navigating SharePoint doesn't mean SharePoint stops doing the work. It's still storing the document, managing permissions, maintaining version history. The user experience changes. The foundation doesn't. In many ways, SharePoint becomes the plumbing. Nobody gets excited about plumbing until it stops working, and suddenly it's the most important thing in the house. If it's organized properly, nobody notices it. If it's a mess, everyone notices it, especially when AI starts giving the wrong answers. And it now makes me think we've never really been SharePoint professionals. We've been knowledge professionals who happen to use SharePoint as our platform. That's bigger than any one piece of software. Now, the roles that I believe are coming next. So, will information architects still exist in 10 years? Yes and no. I think the skills become more valuable than ever. I'm just not convinced we'll keep calling ourselves information architects. A few roles I think we'll see more of. The AI readiness architect, who makes sure an organization's information is actually fit for AI before it goes live, not after it's already given someone the wrong answer. The AI governance lead, who owns who can access what and who's accountable when it goes wrong. Every organization already has security and records governance. AI just adds a layer nobody's owning yet. And knowledge operations manager. Think DevOps, but for knowledge. Someone continuously reviewing content and ownership, because knowledge isn't something you organize once. Notice what these roles have in common: understanding information, governance, permissions, and people. Exactly the skills information architects have built for years. The technology changes, the principles don't. That's why I don't think our profession disappears. I think it evolves and finally gets the recognition it's deserved for 2 decades. So how do you become the most employable person in the room? What should you actually do with all of this? First, don't wait. Don't wait for your organization to run a training course. Start experimenting now with whatever AI tool you have access to. Second, the question everyone's really asking underneath everything else: will I lose my job or will it just change? It goes without saying some jobs will disappear. That's true of every wave of technology we've lived through. But technology rarely replaces a whole job. It replaces parts of it. So the better question isn't, will AI take my job? It's, which parts of my job look different in 5 years? And am I the one deciding what I do with the time that frees up? Embrace it now, while experimenting still makes you stand out. Because AI doesn't replace judgment or experience. If anything, those become more valuable, since someone still has to decide whether the AI's answer is actually right. And here's the thing I think matters most. Every organization will have access to roughly the same AI technology. That's not the differentiator. The differentiator is something the most organizations have quietly pushed to the back burner for years because it was never urgent enough. Do you actually know what you know? Is your content current, owned, trustworthy? 2 organizations with the identical AI license get completely different results. And the gap is entirely about the knowledge underneath. That's the real competitive advantage now, not just for organizations, but for the people in them. The ones who understand their organization's knowledge are about to become some of the most valuable people in the building, simply because they can make AI actually work. So here's my challenge. Don't try to master AI this week. That's impossible. Pick one task. Write an email with it, summarize a meeting, brainstorm a presentation. See what works, see what doesn't. That's how the skill builds. So, will there still be SharePoint information architects in 2035? Maybe, maybe not. But will organizations still need people who understand information, governance, and how to organize knowledge so AI gives trustworthy answers? More than ever. The title may change, the mission won't. We've had this problem for 25 years. AI just finally gave us a reason to fix it. And that's a genuinely exciting place for our profession, and for anyone willing to learn. I'm Liza from Simply SharePoint. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.